Let me tell you something most women would never admit out loud. When you text her good morning every day, when you like every photo she posts, when you're always the first to reach out, you're not winning her over. You're becoming just another notification she ignores. Here's the truth from a woman's perspective. She's not missing you because she doesn't have to. You've given her every reason to believe you'll always be there. And when a woman feels that certain about you, something shifts inside her, something that kills any chance of her thinking about you when you're not around. Most men don't understand this. They think if they just try a little harder, text a little more, show up a little stronger, eventually she'll see their value. But that's not how attraction works. And what actually makes a woman miss you? It's the opposite of what you've been doing. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that is, step by step. How to make any woman miss you badly, even if she doesn't seem interested right now. Stay with me on this one. So why isn't she missing you? Let's start with the obvious signs. She takes hours to reply, sometimes days. When you ask to hang out, she's always busy. Her texts are short, polite, but there's no energy behind them. You can feel the distance, even through a screen. And even though something feels off, you keep trying. You text more. You compliment more. You show up more. Because that's what you've been taught. That effort equals results. That persistence pays off. That if you just care enough, she'll eventually see it. But here's what no one told you. When it comes to attraction, effort can work against you. Think about it from her side for a second. She wakes up every morning to a phone full of notifications. Messages from guys she barely remembers matching with. Comments on her photos. DMs that all say the same thing. Hey, beautiful. You're so pretty. What are you up to? And somewhere in that flood of attention, there's you, reliable, consistent, always there. And that's exactly the problem. Your attention has no cost. It's free. It's guaranteed. She doesn't have to earn it. She doesn't have to wonder if she'll get it. And when something is always available, the human brain stops assigning it value. You're not standing out. You're blending in with the noise. You've become just another notification she swipes away. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. She's not missing you because you haven't given her anything to miss. You're always there. You fill every silence. You answer every message within minutes. You leave no space for her to wonder where you are, what you're doing, or who you're with. And without that space, there's no curiosity, no longing, no emotional pull toward you. Women don't miss men who are constantly present. They miss men who leave an impression and then create distance. Not coldness. Not cruelty. Distance. There's a difference. And understanding that difference is everything. So if you've been doing everything right and still feeling like you're invisible to her, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you've been playing by rules that don't work. You've been giving more when you should have been giving less. And that's exactly what we're going to fix. So what's the solution? It's the opposite of what you've been doing. And I know that sounds frustrating, but stay with me. The strategy isn't to try harder. It isn't to craft the perfect text. It's to give her less attention, less availability, less of you. Here's the psychology behind it. When you disappear from someone's routine, when you stop being a constant presence, you create a void. And the human brain hates voids. It starts doing something it wasn't doing before. Wondering, where did he go? What's he doing? Is he with someone else? That wondering is the beginning of missing. You can't logic someone into missing you. Missing is an emotional response that happens in the absence of something that was once there. And if you've been everywhere, all the time, You've never given her brain the chance to notice you're gone. Now here's where most men get it wrong. They think being absent means being cold or playing games. But that's not what this is. You're not pulling back to manipulate her. You're pulling back to become someone worth chasing. And in the next few sections, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that, step by step. 6 specific moves that create the kind of absence she can't ignore. If this is clicking for you, stay with me. We're just getting started. Step 1. Disappear from her front row. This is the foundation of everything else. If you don't do this, nothing else will work. Here's what I mean. Right now, you're probably in her daily view, texting her, liking her posts, watching her stories, maybe even commenting on things she shares. You're present. You're visible. You're available. And all of that needs to stop. I'm not saying ghost her. I'm not saying be rude or cold. I'm saying stop being her most reliable source of attention. Stop sending good morning texts. Stop being the first to reach out every time. Stop double texting when she doesn't reply. Stop liking every photo she posts. Stop watching her stories the second she uploads them. She notices all of it, even if she never says anything. And when you suddenly stop, that's when something shifts. This is called a pattern interrupt. Her brain has gotten used to you being there. It expects your attention, and when that expectation is broken, it creates a gap, a question mark. Why isn't he reaching out? Did I do something? Is he okay? Is he with someone else? That question mark is powerful, because now, for the first time, she's thinking about you without you doing anything. Most men are terrified of this. They think if they pull back, she'll forget them completely. But here's the truth. If your absence doesn't create any reaction, your presence wasn't valued in the first place. And if that's the case, you needed to know that anyway. This step isn't about playing hard to get. It's about recognizing that your time, your energy, and your attention have value, and you're done giving them away for free. But disappearing isn't enough on its own. Because if all you do is vanish, she might just move on. The key is what you do next. Step 2. Build a full, visible life. Here's where most men fail. They disappear, but they disappear into nothing. They sit at home, check her profile, overanalyze every move, and wait for her to reach out. That's not absence. That's just hiding. Real absence means filling your life with things that have nothing to do with her. Start with the basics. Hit the gym. Pick up a hobby you've been putting off. Reconnect with friends you've been neglecting. Plan a trip, even a short one. Start working on something that excites you. And here's the important part. Let it show. I'm not saying post every meal or turn your life into a performance. But don't be invisible either. Update your stories. Share a photo with your friends. Post something from that new place you visited. Let your life speak for itself. Because when she eventually checks, and she will, she needs to see a man who's thriving without her. Not a man who's sitting around waiting. This triggers 2 thoughts in her mind. The first, he's fine without me. And that stings more than you think. Because if you're fine without her, maybe she wasn't as important to you as she thought. Maybe she overestimated her position in your life. The second thought, who is he with? When she sees you out with friends, at new places, doing things she's not part of, she starts imagining. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. This isn't about making her jealous. It's about showing her, without saying a word, that your world doesn't stop because she's not in it. Now here's where it gets interesting. Step 3. Layer in social proof. Now here's where most men make a critical mistake. They either overdo this, posting obviously staged photos to make her jealous, or they avoid it completely because it feels manipulative. Both approaches miss the point. Social proof isn't about making her jealous. It's about shifting her perception of you. Here's what I mean. When a woman sees you with other people, especially other women, it does something to her brain. It signals that you're wanted, that you're not desperate, that you have options. And suddenly, you become more attractive, not because anything about you changed, but because other people seem to value you. This is called pre-selection. It's deeply wired into human psychology. We assign more value to things that others want. It's why a crowded restaurant feels more appealing than an empty one. It's why a guy who's clearly desired by women seems more interesting than one who's alone. So when you're out with friends, especially mixed groups, take a photo. Don't force it. Don't stage it. Just capture a real moment and share it. Let her see you laughing with other people. Let her wonder who that girl next to you is. You don't need to explain anything. You don't need to caption it. Just let it exist. The key is authenticity. If you're faking it, she'll sense it. But if it's real, if you're genuinely having a good time with good people, it speaks louder than anything you could ever say to her directly. And once that seed is planted, it grows on its own. Step 4. Create memory triggers. This one is subtle, but incredibly powerful. Here's the thing about memory. We don't remember people in general terms. We remember them through specific moments. A song that was playing, a joke that made us laugh, a phrase someone always said, a place you went together. These anchors become tied to that person in our brain. And when those anchors get triggered later, the person floods back into our mind, whether we want them to or not. Your job is to create those anchors. Think about the time you've spent with her. Were there inside jokes? References only the two of you understood. A song you listened to together. A restaurant you always talked about trying. These are your entry points. The goal isn't to manufacture fake memories. It's to make the real moments memorable enough that they stick. And when you're no longer around, those triggers do the work for you. Here's an example. Let's say there's a phrase you used to say, something playful, something that became your thing. When you step back and go silent, that phrase doesn't disappear from her brain. The next time she hears something similar, or sees something that reminds her of it, you pop into her head. Without warning, without effort. That's the power of association. So before you pull away, make sure you've left something behind. A memory she can't shake. A reference she'll stumble across. Something that makes her think of you when she least expects it. Step 5. Provide intellectual stimulation. This one gets overlooked, but it's often what separates forgettable men from unforgettable ones. Most men think attraction is about looks, money, or saying the right things. And sure, those play a role. But here's something women rarely admit. They miss men who made them think. Not just men who complimented them. Not just men who made them laugh. But men who challenged their perspective. Men who introduced them to a new idea, a different way of seeing things, a conversation they'd never had before. When you stimulate a woman's mind, you occupy a space no one else can take. Because that mental connection becomes part of how she sees the world. And when you're gone, she notices the gap. So think about the conversations you've had with her. Were they surface level, small talk, safe topics, forgettable exchanges? Or did you go deeper? Did you share your real thoughts? Did you push back when you disagreed? Did you make her think about something she'd never considered? If you didn't, start now. Not in a try-hard, pretentious way. Just be curious. Be honest. Share what you actually think about things. Ask her questions that make her pause. Because when a woman is used to men who agree with everything she says, the one who doesn't, he stands out. He lingers. He's the one she ends up thinking about at 2 a.m. when she can't sleep. And that's not something you can fake. Step 6. Reemerge strategically. If you've followed the first 5 steps, if you've disappeared from her front row, built a visible life, layered in social proof, created memory triggers, and planted intellectual seeds, then this is your moment. But timing matters, and so does how you come back. First, the timing. If you were texting daily before, wait at least 2 to 3 weeks before reaching out again. If you were in more casual contact, maybe a few times a week, give it 4 to 6 weeks. The point is to create a real gap, not just a few days of silence. A genuine absence that gives everything you've done time to settle in her mind. Now, when you do reach out, here's what not to do. Don't explain where you've been. Don't apologize for the silence. Don't ask, "How have you been?" like nothing happened. All of that puts you right back in the position you started, chasing her attention. Instead, reemerge with something light. Something confident. Maybe reference an inside joke. Maybe send her something that reminded you of a conversation you had. Keep it short. Keep it casual. And most importantly, don't seem like you're trying to win her back. Because here's the shift. You're not returning as the guy who was chasing her. You're returning as a new version of yourself. More confident. More focused. More grounded. A man who clearly has a life and is choosing to let her back into it. That energy is magnetic. If she responds warmly, great. Match her energy, but don't overdo it. If she's still distant, that's fine too. Because you didn't reemerge out of need. You did it from a position of strength. And that strength, it's the real transformation. Everything before this, the tactics, the silence, the social proof, it was all building toward this version of you, the version who doesn't need her to complete him, the version who knows his value. And that's what she's been missing all along. Now here's the truth, most men aren't ready to hear. It doesn't matter if she comes back. I know, that's probably not what you wanted me to say. You clicked on this video because you want her to miss you. You want her to regret pulling away. You want that validation. And I get it. But here's what really happens when you follow everything I've just walked you through. You change. Not as a strategy. Not as a performance. You actually become the kind of man who doesn't need her to feel complete. And that shift, that's worth more than her attention ever was. Think about it. If you've built a life you're proud of, surrounded yourself with good people, developed confidence that doesn't depend on her response, what has she become? Just one option among many. Not the prize you've been chasing. Just a possibility. That's the real power here. You stop being the guy who waits by his phone, analyzing every message, wondering what he did wrong. You become the guy who has better things to do, the guy who's fine either way. And here's the paradox. That's exactly the energy that makes women come back. Not the chasing. Not the effort. Not the constant presence. But the genuine, grounded indifference of a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to walk away. Some women will realize what they lost and reach out. Others won't. And both outcomes are fine, because you're no longer waiting for her to decide your value. You've already decided it yourself. So let me ask you something. Have you been in this situation before? Have you been the guy who gave too much, too fast, and watched her interest disappear? Or maybe you're in it right now, wondering if you should reach out again or finally pull back. I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're at. Tell me what's been going on. Because I read every single one, and sometimes the best insights come from the conversations we have down there. Here's the thing. This video isn't just about getting one woman to miss you. It's about something bigger. It's about becoming the kind of man who never has to chase. The kind of man who knows his worth, not because someone else validated it, but because he built it himself. The kind of man who doesn't disappear to play games, but because he has a life worth living. And whether she comes back or not, you're already winning. That's not manipulation. That's not strategy. That's self-respect. If this video helped you see things differently, hit that subscribe button. I've got more coming. Videos that break down the psychology of attraction, how women think, and how to build the kind of presence that makes you impossible to forget. Until next time, know your worth. And stop giving it away for free.